Hello all, welcome back to Learning Partner. If you are new, please do subscribe. This is another channel where you can directly connect with me. We have around 1000 plus members already who are working. We take live coding sessions and everything. To just get notified about those sessions, please do join this group and check out this website also where you can find so many project ideas with live version, proper flow, diagram and APIs and documentation and all. Now let's start with the video. Yeah, so in this video, we are going to create event booking application. Everyone must have used BookMyShow till now. So if we visit the BookMyShow offers like movie booking, and their second platform is like they can there we can book tickets for the events happening. So if I go over here, events, so you can see currently city I have selected is Mumbai. So multiple events, whatever the events are happening in the Mumbai, I can see that. I can open any event. I can see what details, the timing and everything, and I can book it. So whatever the flow I have shown right now, that flow we are going to cover. So we will have a landing page. So the UI is already created. You can get it from the GitHub account. So majorly we will have two parts. First is the website where events will be visible, booking will be done. And second is the admin part where event organizer will log in. They will create the event and they can see the booking received for their created event. But this part, admin part, I'm not going to cover because it is just a GET API call and you just have to show it. Now in website part, what we have to do, first homepage will be there where we have to show all the events. So this is the homepage and here we will be showing all the events created by various organizer. Then event page. So if I click on the book now or if I click on this card, I will land to this page. So this page is responsible to show the dedicated event information. And here we will show like what other events, let's say we have some particular organizer, whoever organized this event, we will be able to show what other events are there by this organizer. So this is the event page. Then on click of log book now button, we will show the book, what we can say book, we can ticket the book. Then before booking, we need to make sure like user is logged in or not, because without logged in, we cannot allow the user to book the ticket. So registration and the login will be in the model pop-up. So if I click over here, so you can see we get this model pop-up. In this model pop-up, currently register and the login both forms are visible, but we will just toggle it. At a time register or login will be visible. Then last page, we will have a my booking page. So in that, we will just show the bookings created by you. Means whatever the logged in user is there, we will show the bookings. Same whatever the flow we have got in the BookMyShow, just like that we will try to cover. So now, again, like I will be using Angular 18 and API. So APIs are over here in freeapi.miniprojectsidea.com. So you can see mini event booking controller is there. Inside that, you will be able to see all the APIs which we are going to need. Make sure when you are running the project, make sure you run on the 4209 port. This is the command which you can use, and GitHub template, like whatever the UI I have created, either you can create by yourself, whatever the UI you feel so, or you can use my also. Now, from the project, I will be creating an Angular 18. So let me just create the Angular 18 project. So I have created a Angular 18 project. So you can also create the same by using this command ngnew, then project name. So I have given the name as event booking Angular 18. After installing, I have added in package.json, I have added Bootstrap and Font Awesome. Then again, we have to do the npm install. And once you install the Bootstrap and the Font Awesome, you need to add the entries into angular.json like this. So this is the initial change I have done. Now, when we create the Angular 18 project, so from Angular 17, we don't have app module. So we will get app config and the parent component app component will be there. For routing, we will get approute.ts, which is normally a constant file. Now, how many components we are going to need? So if we see the pages, like home page will be there, event page. So let me just create one by one. So home page, we will say navbar. So we will need a navbar, right? So navbar, we will keep it over here in the app component. But we will create an extra component, home component, where we will be showing all the events, right? So in app folder, I will create a folder, let's say pages. Inside the pages, I have to create new folder. So open a new terminal. ng generate. I'm using shortcut G for component C and component. So first will be home component, which is responsible to show all the events. Then event, this will be responsible to show the particular event data. Then registration and login will be in the model purpose, so we don't have to worry about that. Then booking again in the model purpose, so we don't have to worry about that. Just my booking, one more component that will be my booking. Whenever your component name consists two words, so make sure first letter small and second letter should be capital. So we will get a hyphen over there. This is just a standard we normally follow while working in an industrial project. So you can see it will get you the component name like this. And navbar will go over here. Yeah, that's it for now. Once we need any component again, we will create. So this is the basic code what we get in app component when we create the project. So let's remove that. So in our app component, we will have router outlet. But with router outlet, we need the navbar also. So let's get the navbar from our HTML template only. First, we will need this CSS. So let's copy this CSS. Now these are the common CSS. So common CSS will go into our style.css over here. So common CSS, I have kept it over here. Now we need the navbar. So let's get the navbar. So this is my navbar. So let's copy. Navbar will be above the router outlet. So router outlet is the directive which is responsible to load the activated route. Let's just save, and first we need to run the application. So once we create the application, we need to run the application also. So let's open the new terminal. Make sure you open the folder properly over here. Means terminal should be at your parent folder. Now ng sir -port 4209. Make sure you run the application on this particular port number only. Enter. So you can see currently application is running on port 0209. Let me just open new tab 09. So now you can see that navbar is visible over here. Now in the home component, so our navbar is done. After that home component, first we have to do the we have to get the events from our API, and then event we need to show it over here. So this is the Swagger. So over here you can see get all event API is there. So if we click on execute, so you can see some event. This is like already some data is there. So we are going to use this API to show the events. So this is the API which is responsible to get all the events. Now we are going to make the API call. So before making API call, first thing you need to do in Angular 18, you need to go to app config, and here in the provider section, you need to add provide HTTP client. Then only you will be able to make the API call. So previously we used to import HTTP client module when we used to have the app module, but now we don't have it. So in the app config, you need to add this to make the API call. Let's close it. Let's close this also. Now let's go to home component. Now in home component, we have to make the API call. So in the previous video, I have already explained like how do we create the service and everything. So in app folder, I will create a service first. So I'm just going to create a service folder. Let's create a service, new terminal, ng generate service. Let's say event, just a name I'm giving. So we use service to create our API call functions, some reusable utility functions like that, to create observable, to create subject behavior that will be used by other components. So we use service for that. Now, in this service, we are going to make the API call. So to make the API call, first we have to create the instance of HTTP client. So already we have got the constructor. So let's create it over here. So private HTTP:/HTTP client like this. So we have created instance of that. Then we have to create the function get all events from bracket curly bracket. Now from this function, we are just going to make the API call, and whatever the data we get from the API that we need to return it back. So that's why we will need the return statement. Return this dot HTTP dot API method is get. How do you know that? So from over here, see post get. So this is our get API. So we have to use get HTTP dot get. Get method requires only one parameter, mandatory one, that is URL. So now all my APIs are going to be having common URL up till now. Over here, this will be common. Just the method name is going to change. So this common URL, we can put it in a global variable. So let's create a global variable. Let's say API URL colon data type string is equal to single quote this variable value. So in this API URL, we have kept our URL. What is the common part? Now here I'm going to use template literal dollar curly bracket this dot API URL. Then we need the method name, that is get all events. So this is the method name. So this will go over here. Slash is already there, so you just need to add the method name. So this function is responsible to make an API call, and whatever the data we get, that is supposed to return that. So you can see the return type of this method becomes observable because get method returns the observable type of data. You see over here. Now our service was get done. Now we have to integrate this service into our home component. So over here from Angular 16, we have got something new, that is inject. So let's say event service is equal to inject. What I'm going to inject? Event service. So event service, this. So this is nothing but what we used to do to create the instance of our injectable services. So previously we used to do like this. This is called as a dependency injection. This is a new thing. We are injecting this service into this component. Now, so on the page load, once this home component load, we need to call the API. So we will make use of the onInit lifecycle event. OnInit, then we need to implement it. And we need to implement the ngOnInit also, right? Either we can create the API call function in the ngOnInit, but that's not good. We should have a separate function for everything, for every logic or whatever that function is responsible. We should separate out things. So for that, I'm calling one function get events. Now from this function, I will be making my API call function, right? So this dot, our event service dot, only one function is there, that is get all events. So let's call it. This function doesn't need any parameters, so we can subscribe result colon any. I will come to any. We will create interface for that. Now, if you see the API response, you will get object. In all my API response, you will get an object where three properties will be there: message, result, and data. So data is what we concern about, but these three fields are also there. So what we need to do, we need to create an interface of these three fields. So let's create interface first. So inside app folder, I will create one more folder. We will name it as model. And inside that, I will create an interface. Let's say event only or model.ts. Let's keep it simple. In this file, we will create our models. So we can create class or interface. Okay, now here we are going to create interface. Export interface I API response. This is going to be my name. Curly bracket. Now what things we are going to have? These things. So message with data type colon string. Then result is just going to be true, means Boolean value. Boolean. Then data is going to be dynamic. So here I will keep it as any, because sometimes you will get array, sometimes you will get object. Based on the API, it will be dynamic. So that's why I will keep it as any. So we have created an interface. Now this interface we have to use instead of any. So let's copy this. Where? Over here. Now we need the import also. We should not use the interface. Sorry, we should not use the any data type. Why it is giving error? Okay. So now you can see this method is returning object something, right? So we need to specify the data type also. Colon like this. Let me just remove this three. Let's add the import also. Let's save. Now you can see that error is gone because we didn't specify the return type from this event. So now we have specified the return type. Now we can access the same. Now this function is going to be responsible to call the API. So this function we need to call on the page load. So in ng on init, we will call this. Now whatever the data we get, that we need to subscribe it also. Now what we can do, we can do the, what we can say, we can use async pipe also, just to keep the project understandable for everyone, I'm just going to do the normal way. So whatever the response we can get from this API call, we need to hold it also somewhere. So here I will create event list colon any, sorry. Now, again, this API response, whatever the data we are going to get, that we need to store it. So we need to provide the data type also. So for that, this is the type of data we are going to get. So let's create an interface of that. And I will use a site. We have one site that will get us JSON to TS. So we can use this transform tool. We just have to paste our JSON. It will get us the interface object of TypeScript. So let's copy. We have already created a model.ts. So here only we will put it over here. Export, type interface, and I event. We just have to remove this event. Wherever number is there, we will replace that with number semicolon. It's not mandatory, but we should have a semicolon. That's it. So we have created interface. Now the data type will be like event is equal to empty. So we just need to import this also, because this is going to hold an array of this object, correct? Now over here, this dot event list is equal to res dot data. In data, we are going to get the data, correct? So let's just add a debugger for the first time. Always make sure whenever you are writing code for the first time, make sure you add the debugger, see the flow. See, everywhere I'm adding the debugger just so that you should understand how it is behaving. Let's open the network tab. Oh, I forgot one thing. We created the component, but we didn't create the routes. Sorry, let me just close everything. So after creation, first step should be, we should have created the route, but we forgot it. So let's do this now. So in app.route.ts, we have to create the routes. Now, so Angular is a single page application, everyone knows, but to achieve multiple page-based navigation means we are able to navigate from one page to another, we have to implement the routing. So by default, we get this route file. Here we have to create the routes. So first route path, I'm keeping it as empty, and this will be my default route. So redirect to, let's say, home. Then path match strategy we need with the value full. So this is my default route, means when my application runs, this is the default page, what it is going to render. Then again path. Now our path will be home and component. So if in the URL we have home component, which component we have to open? Obviously home component. So you can see import has been automatically added. So if in the URL we don't have anything, if it is empty, where it is going to redirect? Home. So it will redirect to home and it will load this component. Let's create the remaining ones. Path, colon. Second is for event, but that too will have a parameter ID. Component. This is a parameter routes. Event. Event component. Yes. Then we have one more route, that is booking. So path my hyphen booking component my booking. So these are the routes we have. Fine. This is default route and all the specific component route. After that, so as we said, home is the default route. So if we go to the application, Somewhere it is breaking. Property or signature expected on model.ts, line number 2. Let's see what is wrong over there. Oh, 2 semicolons were there. So now on the page load, you can see API call is there. First, let me just reload again. Just enable the debugger, reload. Now you can see home component got load. See over here. So first trigger what we got in the ngInit. Once the component load, ngInit will trigger. So ngInit is there. Then we are calling this function. So it will go to this function now. Now from this function, we are calling get all event function from this service. So now it will go over there. See. Now from here, we are actually creating that full URL. And then we are making the API call. So API call will be visible over here in the network tab. Make sure you have this selected so you will be able to see the API call only. Continue. So currently you can see API call is 200 means API, we have got the data. So now once we get the response, you can see this subscribe call executed. This is like a callback. Once API got executed successfully, then this subscribe will execute. And now in the result, you can see we have got the data. Oh, around 91 records are there. So APIs are free. Everyone has created their events. So that's why you will be able to see so many events. Now, whatever the data we have got in data that we are assigning. So currently event list, you can see it is 0. No records are there. Now, if this line work in the event list, you can see 91 records are over here. Got it? Now, so on the page load, we are able to make the API call. We have cached the data into this variable. Now this data, we need to show it over here. So let's go back to our template. So this is the UI. So let's get this UI. So this is the section. Let's copy this section. This will go into our home component. HTML. Let's replace, save. So now you can see UI is there, but this is static UI. Now we just have to make it dynamic. Now, so whenever we say we have to make any UI dynamic, so before Angular 17, we used to have the ng for directive by which we used to iterate the element. But now from Angular 17, we have got control flow statement. So that is nothing but normal for loop, whatever you know, but we can use that for loop in the HTML. So this is static content I'm removing, but you just have to write directly at the rate for loop. So this is the syntax of the for loop. For loop item of your array name. So our array name is event list. So let's get this. Let's put it over here. And this repeat it. Like whatever the content you have to repeat or iterate, that should go inside over here. So that much time this element will render. So let me just save it. Now you can see we had around 91 events. So all 91 events are there. Again, cards are iterated, but the information is static. So let's make that also dynamic. Now image. So let's remove this static image. Now we have to use the property binding. So src will go inside the square bracket. Now we have to provide the value. So item dot. So now what property you will use? Image URL, right? So this is the benefit of doing strongly data typing, means creating class or interface. You get everything IntelliSense. Then this will be event name. So let's use interpolation item dot event name and book. Now we will keep it as it is. Let's save and check. So now here you can see whatever the records user has added, some are visible, someone has provided the image that are visible over here. You see events are coming properly. So on the page load, event API is done and events are also rendering properly. Now, next thing is once I click on this card or click on book, now I need to navigate this from home to my event page. So for that, instead of this href, we are going to use router link. So now if we have to use the router link from Angular 17, the rule goes like whatever you use, you need to import that. So we need to import the router link also over here. Router link like this. Correct? So once you import the router link, then you can use it. Now where you have to navigate? So we have to navigate to the event page, event route. So event slash, then you need to provide the event ID because this is a parameter as route. You need to pass the event, like which event you need to open, correct? So over here, let's try to use interpolation item dot event. Wait, why it's not suggesting? It should suggest. Let's add over here. Should embed. Why it's not importing? Let's try event ID. Let's say something is error is there. Let's open and check. No, error is not there. Let's try to inspect this book button. No, it has printed some whatever we have added. No, that same thing it has printed. That's why it was not highlighting. Let's try to remove this from over here. And second object, let's try to add the second object, that is event, sorry, item dot event ID. Let's try that now. Now if I open it, yeah, so see, now it is looking proper, 520. If I inspect this, we will get something else, 527. Now if I click on book, it's not redirecting. Again, we might have some event slash. Did we miss something or this route is not correct? Slash needed first. Let's try this. Now if I click on book, yeah, so now you can see we are successfully navigating. So first you need the slash, then the colon. So make sure you also don't mistake this. Now, so we are, whatever the event we click on book now, with that we are able to successfully navigate to the event page. But in this page, we need to get the detail of this particular event and show it over here. So for that, this is the UI. So let's get the UI first from over here, then we can close this. So this is the section. Let's copy. This is the event page. Let's paste it over here. Yeah, so UI is coming. Now this is the static web. We just need to make it dynamic. So we have the ID over here. Now first task is we need to read this ID from the URL. Then we need to make another API call to get the details of this particular event ID. So for that, we have one more API. Let me just check. So that is get event by ID. So what was our ID? That is 521. Let's try to find. So this API is having parameters. So you need to send it. On click of execute. So you can see in the data, you get a single object. So this API call you need to make. So this is the method name. Now, again, we need to make the API call. So we have to create a service for it. Service. Now over here, get event by ID. So again, we are going to return. So this dot HTTP, again, get API call is there. Template literal, we have to use dollar curly bracket, this dot API URL. Then we need this. Okay. Now here, this ID should be dynamic. This is static, right? Whatever the ID we get, that we need to pass it over here. So let's add a parameter. Event ID, data type colon number. And this ID we will pass it over here. Again, dollar curly bracket like this. So this function is going to responsible to make the API call with the event ID. Now this function we need to call on the event page. But before making the API, before making anything, like first we need to read the data from that URL, that is query parameter. So if we have some parameter in the URL, no, so that we call it as a query parameter or query param. Someone will call it as a query parameter or parameter. Okay. Now, so first I will create the instance of activated route. To read the query parameter from the router, we need to create an instance of activated route. So activated route is equal to inject What we need to inject? Activated route only. So this service is going to be responsible to fetch the data from the activated route. Whatever the current route is there, we can fetch the data from that. Now, so let's create the constructor now. In the constructor, what we will do, we will subscribe to the parameters. So this dot activated route dot params is there. And we need to subscribe to the params. Subscribe result colon any. Just I'm keeping it any because we can get any number of parameters. So I will not hard code this. Now over here, let's add a debugger. Let me just show you how this is working now. Let's open the console. Now once I reload, so see this subscribe got executed, and in the result, what we have got object ID and the whatever the ID means. To read the query parameter from the URL, we have to create an instance of activated route, and by subscribing to the params, we can read the parameters whatever we have. We can have multiple parameters also. So that's why we will get the object type of data, ID, colon, whatever parameter you create. And from where this ID is coming, while creating routes, we have said ID over here, parameter name. That's why ID. So let's what we can do is we have got the ID. Now this ID we need to pass to the API call to get the data. So let's create the function call also. Before first we need to integrate the service also. So event service is equal to inject event service. Let's create the function get event details. Now here, this function will have a parameter because this function we are going to call from over here. So let's say ID colon number. So this dot event service dot get all event by ID result. Sorry, we need to pass the parameter. So whatever the parameter we will get it over here, this ID we need to pass it over here because this function needs a parameter. See event ID. So that we are passing. Then we need to subscribe to that result colon any. Now over here, so in the first component, I have shown you the normal way, how we make the API call. Just the normal way, creating a variable and making the API call, subscribing to the data, and then assigning to back. There is one more way and an appropriate way to do this. If you are just going to get the data from API and you are just going to display that in the HTML, there is no need to create like this. What you can do is you can create an observable. So let's create an observable. So let's say event data. Now we are going to see how do we use the async pipe. Event data dollar. Make sure whenever you are creating observable, add a dollar. This is just the standard format what we use in industrial project. So just follow that. Observable. Why it's not suggesting? Let's import the RxJS first. Okay, so what I have did is I have import the observable. Then in this variable, what will be the data type? Observable. So now it will, what type of data we are going to get? Event, single event. Sorry, that was I event, no? Like this. Now it is saying like it is not initialized. So let's initialize this equal to new observable I event. So this is like we have created an observable. Now my API call gives the response of object, but what we need, whatever the data we have got. So for that, now over here, once we get it, now we don't need to subscribe it. Subscribe thing we are going to do in the HTML. But here, what we will do, this dot event data, we will assign it over here. So this dot event data is equal to this. What it is saying? Again, observable. Okay. So even in the event, again, we need to add the. Okay, now it is going to behave randomly because here we cannot. Okay. So here we will just first add the map operator. So pipe, because why I'm doing this, uh, my API is going to my API is going to send the response of three field object. But what we need, just the data. So that's why I'm using the map operator. Return from bracket item colon API response. White string error. Let's add it any. Yeah, then it is working. And now the return type will be I event. So instead of sending the whole object, I'm just sending the required event data. Okay. So now whatever the data we get from the API, we are filtering that, means we are adding the map operator. And from the response, I'm just sending the data because I don't need that result and everything. I just need the single event data. Now in the event component, this is done. Now this event, wait, instead of doing this, we can remove this and put it over here also. That will also work. No need of this function. And result dot id we can pass it over here. So see, now what we did, we have created an observable. And in this observable, what we are showing, whatever the data we get from this function. Okay. Now this event observable, again, we need to use the async pipe. So we need to import that. So over here, async pipe, we need to import. Now this observable, we can directly subscribe in the HTML. So what I will do is everywhere, wherever we need to show the data, we can use the observable. But again, to do the multiple time async pipe, instead of that, what I will do, I will create a, what we can say, ng container. Just a container I'm creating. Or let's try with that, the if directly. We need to use async pipe as event data. We used to do this in ng, but I think over here we won't be able to do it. I thought so. We are not able to do this. Let's use ngIf. So if we have to use ngIf, we have to import common module. Why I'm doing this, I will explain. So over here, what I can do, star ngIf is equal to, I need to subscribe to this observable. So let's copy over here slash async pipe as event data like this. So see, we can do it over here. So whatever the data we get from this observable, we are subscribing and we are storing into this variable. Now, wherever I have to display the data, because if I don't do this, everywhere I have to use this. So instead of that, whatever the data I get, I'm storing into this variable. Now we just need to bind it. First image, event data. Wait. So event data dot image URL, then remaining things, event name. Let's use the interpolation. So by using this, we are actually subscribing in the HTML. So we don't have to worry about unsubscribe and everything. And we are removing the more code from the .ts. Organizer name. Organizer name is coming. Yeah, it's coming. Then book now button is there. Start time. Then end time. End date. Then we have location. Do we have the location? Yeah, we have the location. and then event description. So let's get the event description, event data dot description. We don't have the description. I think we don't have the description. I must have missed it while creating API. Fine. Let's just put it description, static thing. Now let's save and check if we are able to get the data. So on the page load, we will be able to see the API call. See, 528 API call is there in, why it is in pending? Okay, now we have got the response. And see, once we get the response, that data is also visible over here. Why this is over here? Okay, which name, event name we have to show. So see, it is properly visible now. Correct? So I forgot the description, but I will try to add it. So by the time you will be able to see the description and everything. What was left? Event name is there, location and everything. And so here you can see we are getting time and everything. So we just need to show the date, proper date. So we can use the date pipe. So use the date pipe again, we need to add it also. So date pipe. Then let's use the date pipe over here. Date, let's provide the format dt hyphen y. Let's copy. Whatever the format you need to use, you can just specify over here. So now you can see date is coming properly. If I don't need to show the full year, just I need the last two digit. So what I can do, just 2 times y. So you can see here only 24 is there and here 2024. Correct? This is how you format it. Now in the detail page, we need to show the events created by this. Where is the organizer name? Vivek Muralidharan. Okay. Why it is coming in so bold? H2 is there. Instead of this P, let's make it span. Still it is coming like this. Okay. Now we need to show the other events created by this organizer over here. So for that, we have one more API. So that is get events by organizer. So this is the another API. We have to pass the organizer ID, and whatever the organizer ID is there, we can get the, what we can say, uh, events, another multiple events created by this organizer. So we need to pass one. Let me just get the URL. So let's create the service call also. Then event.service, just like this over here. Now, one more extra RxJS topic is there by using tap operator. So let me just explain that also. Or let's do the normal way. Now, we need to create another API call. So get events by organizer now. And for this function, we need to pass the URL that will be like this. So let's copy, and this will go over here. Organizer ID, this will go over here. Now, so again, here I'm just formatting the data with it from while once we get the data, we are just sending the data. Let's try to use the map operator because here in the event component, we don't have the organizer ID. Again, we need to subscribe to this. So to avoid that, what we can do, we can just write a API call over here. Let's do the right thing. So here, what I will do, I'm just storing the data also, and I'm just going to subscribe to this also. So after this dot, this dot event data dot subscribe. I'm just subscribing because I need the date. What do we say? Event organizer ID I need. That's why I'm subscribing. Now let's create one more API call function, or here only we can do like this. Event data is there just like that. We are going to get the events, and this is going to be array of object. Let's add that. Now inside this dot events is equal to this dot event service dot get all event by organizer, and what we need to pass is result dot organizer. Oh, I'm getting organizer name only. I didn't pass the from API. I should have sent the organizer ID. Okay, so let it be for now. So it will be like here once you by the time I will be adding the organizer ID also. So here you will get the organizer ID that you need to pass. Then this you can show it over here. Or let me just change the API. So my bad, API was returning. Let me just show you the network tab once again. So with this, you can see user ID is coming. Wait, sorry, organizer ID is there. I think we didn't created that in our interface. So let's create this in the interface. Now, so in the event component, we have to pass organizer ID, and whatever the events we get, that will fall under this subscribe observable. So this we have to bind it over here. So this is the call 12. So let's make this dynamic. So at the rate, let's try for loop and let's check if we can pass the async over here. Yeah, so we can pass. Now, this call 12 will go inside this. Instead of this src as hardcode one, let's provide the dynamic URL. That will be item dot image URL. And in book, on click of book, we can do the same thing, whatever we have done in the home, just like this router link, so that it will open that particular page. Let's add it over here. Again, we are using router link, so we need to import it also. Router link. So let's save and check it. Now on the page load, we should be having two API calls. I think service was not saved. Let's save it again. Just go to home tab. Let's open this one. So now here you can see we have got two API calls, 528 to get the event, and then whatever the user ID was there. So sorry, organizer ID was around 563. So again, one more API call with organizer ID. So we will get the events created by him. So here only one event is there. That is the current one only. Okay. So this is how we have done. Now, next thing is the booking part. So for booking, we first need to complete the login and the registration process. So in the Swagger, we have this API. So create user. So in create user, we have two different types of role. So because same API is going to be used for customer also, and same API is going to be used by organizer also, because same API which will be using for registering as a customer and for as an organizer also. Let me just check how I'm using that API. So user API, what type of roles I have? Okay, so I'm not passing anything. Fine. So let me just get the model pop-up for registration and the login. Let's copy this. And the registration and the login model pop-up will go into our app component because there we have the navbar. So in app component, at the end, I will put my model popup. Let's remove this. Why it says fine. So login code we have kept. Now we can close this. We don't need it now. Now, what should happen is we have in the same model popup, you can see we have two forms. This is a login form and this is the registration form. So we have two form inside the single model popup. Now, on click of login, our login form should be visible. On click of sign up, our sign up form should be visible. So we can toggle that. So how we can toggle is like it is like this. Paragraph is there inside paragraph. We cannot have an H2. Let's close. Okay. So now in registration form, we have a anchor tag to move back to the login. And in the login, we have an anchor tag to move back to the register. So now on click of this in the navbar, we have this login button, right? So if we click on this login button, we need to open the model pop. So to open the model pop-up, we can write a simple code. Let's write a click event, open pop-up. Let's create this function. Now we will create a view child of this model. Okay. So to create the view child, what we can do, we can add a hash property. Let's say model. Then we have to create a view child. So at the rate view child, and we have to provide the hash property value. So that will be model. Model colon. This is like HTML template. So element ref, we will give the data type. What is the error we are having? So it will be showing like it has no initializers. Now let's add an undefined check. Okay. So we have created an view child and this view child is going to be connected with this model popup. Now on this button click, we have to add if this dot model dot native element dot style dot display. We are just adding a dynamic style to that particular element is equal to block. What it is saying, let's just add a null check. If model is there, okay. So this function is responsible to open the model popup. We are just adding a dynamic style. So we can do this like by document.get element by ID and we can select the element and add dynamic style. But better way to do it by using a view child. And the same method like this, we will need it to close it. So close model popup. And here instead of block, it will be none. Let's just test if we are able to open the model popup. So on the button click, you can see we are able to open. On close, it is not closing because we have not called the function yet. So over here, let's get the close popup function and we will call it over here. Click close function. Let's save and check one more time. On login, you can see it is opening. On close, it is closing. Now, in the login popup, you can see both the forms are visible. So we will create one variable to just hide and show the, or just to toggle that view. So let's create a normal variable is login form. Data type will be Boolean is equal to false. So if login form is visible, it means in this variable, if it is true, we will show the login form. Otherwise, we will show the sign up form. So at the rate if this variable is true, we will put our login form into this. And then at the rate else, we will have our sign up form. Let's move this over here. And from login, here we have a paragraph. On click of it, we should be able to toggle the registration form. So on click, sorry. So here we just need to change the is login form variable to false. So over here only I'm doing it false. And from registration form, we need to move back to the login form. So over here, if you have an already account, please click on login. So here we just have to make it true so that it will again move back to the login form. Let's just save and let's check it. So on click of login, now you can see by default, we just have a login form. But if I click on login over here, oh, I think anchor tag was there. Let's just remove that anchor tag. Yeah. Let's save. So by default, registration form is there. If I click on login, you can see I'm able to toggle. Again, if I click on register, see, I'm able to toggle. We don't need this close buttons from the bottom. So let's get rid of that. This we don't need. Now, so first like registration form. So let's check it. So here you can see we have user ID, that is a primary key. So these fields we have. So name, email ID, password, contact number, and the roll number. So let's check if we have everything. Yeah. So we have it everything over here. Now on click of register, we need to call the API. So we are going to make use of the template form. Obviously, this object is there. We need to bind it to the form. That form value will connected it to this object. Then we will send that object. So let's create the interface of this. Let's go to this side. Let's paste it. Let's copy. Again in model.ts, we now instead of interface, we will create the class. Why class? Because this object, we are going to bind it to the form. So we have to go for the class. Class name will be user. Sorry, we need semicolon. This is a class, so it's saying like its properties are not initialized. See, so we can have a constructor, and in constructor we can initialize that. So using this dot contact number is equal to empty, just like whatever the default value you need, you can initialize like that. User ID we can initialize with 0 because it's a primary key. Role we don't need to showcase in the UI. So for that, we will say customer. Hard code we are passing. Okay. So we have created a class. Now this class instance we have to create in our app component. So let's create an object. So the name will be, let's say, user only, user obj colon instead of any. Now we are providing the instance of our class. Import is equal to, now it's a class, so we can initialize to it like this. Now, so this object we need to bind to our form. So again, we are going to use template form. So we have to add forms module. Why it's not suggesting? Let's add the import. Now import will come from @angular / forms. Then we have to import forms module. Now we can add it over here. Now forms module has been imported. Now we can bind it to our registration form. So this is the registration form. Let's open side by side. So everywhere input type email is there. Let's make it text. Now we need to bind it. What I will do, I will just write it over here, square bracket, round bracket, ng model is equal to what we need to bind, our object. So object name is user object dot. So what I will do, I will just copy paste this first thing. We just need to bind the remaining thing now. So first is like email. It will go over here. Then full name. Then we have username. Username is not there, na? My username is suggesting name, full name we have binded. Then we have contact number. This will be contact number. Then we have password, right? So the object we have bind. Now on click of register, we need to call our API. So button and click event on register. Let's create this function. Now again, we need to make the API call. So again, we have to go to the service and write the API call function over here. Now this is the post API. If you see, so this is the post API. So post API function we have to create. Let me just copy like this. Register user. Instead of get, it will be post. Post API requires two parameter, URL and the object. So object we will get it as a parameter colon user, that is from model, and here our URL name. So that will be create user. So let's get it. This object we have to pass as a second parameter, correct? So our API call function is ready. Now this API call function we need to integrate over here. So this dot, oh, so now again we need to create the instance of our service. So event service is equal to inject event service. We need to import. Then over here, this dot event service dot register user function, and we need to pass the object. So this dot user object we need to pass, and we have to subscribe to that result colon, instead of any, it will be API response. Now, so in post API, you will get object like this. And result is the property you need to check. If API call is success, you will get true. Otherwise, you will get false. So you just add a check like that. So if res dot result is true, we will be sure like API call was success. And here we will show message like the user registration is success. And in else, we will show the error message, whatever we get from the API side. That we will get it in message field. Correct. So let's just test if API call is success and we are able to register. Now, let me just open the network tab also so that we can see what data is going. We are getting console error. Oh, we have the console error like if ng model is used in a form tag. So we have to provide the name attribute. That's because our form is inside the, we are using ng model inside the form tag. So now name attribute becomes mandatory. So name is equal to, we have to provide whatever we have binded over here. So let's just quickly bind that. Always make sure you are checking the console. This kind of error you will get it. So now you can see if I open, we don't have, these are the error for the images. Let's try to register, let's say admin12@gmail.com, or let's try more generalized, sachin12@gmail.com, just a dummy mobile. Or let's add a dummy so that YouTube don't remove my video. Let's say Sachin DDD full name. Okay, this is email address. What was it? This was first was email, then name, then contact number. I think label was not correct. Email is correct. Then this is name. Then this is contact number. Let's add a dummy contact number. Let's add password 2233. Now, on click of register, we need to check. So on click of register, you see one API call is there. So now you can see we have got some error. And in the response, you can see result property is false. And message we have got contact number already exists. So that's what I said. You need to add a check for the result property. If it is true, API call will be success. Let's change it to 76. On click of register, now you can see registration is success. Now if I show you the API call response, now it is true. Got it? So that's why you have to add a check with result property. Now registration is success, then we need to do the login part. Let's check the login API. So for login API, we are able to log in by using the contact number and the password. So let's write that. So this is the object, right? So what I will do, I won't be creating API interface now. I will straightforward create over here login obj colon with any I'm creating just to save the time. Let's empty this. Now we need to bind this to our login form. Let's copy this login form. We have to bind it with the login object. So login object, sorry, over here, first field is like contact number. This will be contact number because we are logging it with contact number and the password. Now on click of login, we have to make the API call. So let's write a function, click on login. I'm not covering validation and everything because it will be a huge video. Already it will be around 1 hour or something. So again, if I cover everything, it will be very huge. So for login and login, how do you validate and everything? You can just refer any of my videos. You can clearly understood like how you can do the login and implement it. Now, again, we need to create the service. So just like register user, we will have it just login user will be the function name. And instead of create, it will be login. Here also it will be any because we are not sending the user object. Now it will be just the copy paste like this. So this I will copy. Instead of register user, will be on login user, and instead of user object, we have to pass login object. Login success. And once user is login success, we need to store the data into local storage or session storage. Because how application will know like which user is logged in? Because while booking, we need to pass the user ID also, logged in user ID. So for that local storage dot set item, I will name the key as event user. And while storing the local storage data, we have to convert it also. So json.stringify, and we have to pass res.data. And we need to close the model popup also. So this function, we will call it over here also we need to call it, because once our model popup work is done, we need to close it. And over here also we have to do it. Let's save and check if we are able to log in. What was the user name? Let's check the registered user. Just now we have done. Let's try it out. This is the API responsible to get all the users. If you're working on the admin panel, you need to show all the users. So this is the API which you will be using. So this is my contact number. So we need to navigate to login. And password was 2233. I haven't added any validation on the API side, but on the front end side, you can add a required mean length or something, pattern or something you can add it. Let's just try a wrong password. Now on click of login. So login API is there, but it is saying contact number or password is wrong. Well, let's try the correct password 2233. Now if I click on login, so it says login success and model popup is also getting closed. Let's check the local storage. Sorry, local storage and event user. You can see whatever the user we have created, whole data we have got, and that is stored in the local storage. Now here, if user is logged in, we should not be able to see this login button. We should be able to see the logged in username and the log out button. So let's write a code for that. Now in app component, we have to create a view variable, or this variable is already there. So this variable, once user is logged in, we are getting the data. So that data we will store in this variable is equal to res.data like this. And this variable, we will use it to hide and show that login button. So here, if condition, I will write if user object dot user ID equal to 0, means user is not logged in. By default, because by default we are initializing with 0. So we have to show the login button. But else to that, if user ID is there, means we have successfully logged in, and whatever the data we have got, that we have stored it over here. So user ID will be there. So we will first show the, what do we say, username. For showing username, what we can use, let's use the white button. And here we will show the logged in username. That too, we will get it over here. We will show the mobile number only, contact number, and here log off. Let's create this function on click of log off. Now we need to remove the local storage data also. Sorry. And we need to undefine reinitialize this variable also. So first local storage dot remove item. What is the key? Event user. This we need to pass so that it will remove the particular key data. And we need to reinitialize user object also. User object is equal to new user. This is how we reinitialize the class. Let's save and check it again. But now there is a catch. So see, currently we are logged in because in the local storage we have the data, but still login button is coming because on the page load also we need to check the local storage. So let's create the constructor. So in constructor, we will read the local storage data. Log data is equal to local storage. Sorry. Local storage dot get item. What is the key name? Event user. We need to add a null check. Whenever you are reading the data from the local storage, try adding a null check. Logged data is not equal to null. If in the local storage we don't have the data, we will get null. If it is not equal to null, while storing the data, we have converted into the string. So while convert it back, we need to convert it again into the JSON object format. So for that, this dot user object is equal to JSON dot parse method is there, and we need to pass this variable. Let's save and check. So now you can see logo button is coming, but here something is wrong. Let's check why. Let's remove this. Let's see. Let's add a p tag, and inside the p tag we will show the contact number. Why it is not visible? Let's check. It's empty. Why it's empty? Contact number is there. Why it's empty? Let's try to add a null. Let's try to add a debugger and see what is happening. Let's reload. So here we have it. Same, we are printing it. Okay, capital small was there. Now instead of this, I will explain why, because from API side, I get it in the small case. This one also won't support. Let's add the small case one. String. Let's make it optional. Now we should be able to see it from API side because we are getting it in the small case. So now you can see contact number is visible. So we are logged in. Now if I click on log off, this should be removed. And again, we are able to see the login button, correct? So that login and the registration thing is done. Now, next thing is we just need to complete the booking part. So for booking, we have to, it's a single with multiple. Let me show you the API. That is book event. So here you can see this is a single object, and inside that we are going to have multiple because we need to specify like who is attending. I can book multiple tickets, correct? So that's why booking members, like what are the members who are going to attend. So this is going to be multiple. So let's start with that. So let's start with the booking part. So let's just try to log in with one of the user. Before login, let me just show you the API we are going to use. So this is the book event API. So this is the final booking API which we have to use. So if you see, this is like single with multiple entity, because when I'm booking a ticket for a particular event, I might take some members with also me, right? So I can specify like who will be attending with me. So those number of members who are going to attend, I need to add it. So this is single with multiple API. Now, for this, I have created the UI also. So on click of book now, in model pop-up, we will have this kind of a form. So here we need to provide the name, age, identity card, card number, mobile number. On click of add, it will add to this, and this added multiple members will go into this array and the whole object also, right? Now let's start. So in login, let me just, sorry, I closed that project. Let me open it again. Now, in event detail component, we have to do the booking thing, right? So in event component, so we have a book now button over here, right? So here, sorry, where it is? Yeah, this is the button. So on click of this book now, first we need to open the model pop-up. So this kind of model pop-up we need. So let's get this UI. So in the HTML template, I have already created the model pop-up. So let's get that. This is the model pop-up. Let's copy. Let's put that into our book event component at the end. So our model is there. Now we just need to open this model pop-up on the click of that button. So let's write the button click. So click, open model. Just a random function I'm creating. Let's create this event. Now over here, again, in the last component also, in app component, we have done the model pop-up opening by creating the ViewChild. So let's do that. Let's copy this. Let's paste it over here. This model name will be same as it is. Let's just add the import. This model name should be added to our model pop-up by hash property like this. Correct? Now over here, this dot model dot native element dot style dot display CSS we need to add with block value. Let's add question mark. Why it is saying like this? What do we did over here? Okay, if model is there, let's add the check, same like that. Correct. Just like this, we need the close function also. So let's copy, let's paste. Instead of open, it will be close, and instead of block, it will be none. Now this function we need to call on the book now button. But we have called this. But while calling, see, in the book API, what we are going to need? Event ID. So event ID we already have in the, once we click on book now, we already have the event ID over here. User ID will be logged in user ID. Booking ID is primary key. So we have to send it at 0 only. Number of ticket we will calculate once we add it. So that's it. We don't need to pass any parameter over here. So now let's just check if it model pop-up is opening or not. Yeah, so it is opening. Now on click of add, we need to get the data from this text box and add it to the array. So for that, let's create an object. So object is nothing but these properties we are going to need. So let's copy this. Now I'm not going to create the interface. So, but as I have already explained in the previous, you can just do the follow the same members colon any curly bracket. Now also now inside this booking member ID is the primary key and this is also primary foreign key. So we don't need to pass it. That will be automatically taken care by the API side. Now this we need to bind. So before binding again, we need to make use of the forms module. I'm not using reactive form just to reduce the video length time, but if you know, you can surely use that. Now we need to bind this object to our form. Let's get that. Square bracket, round bracket, ng model is equal to double quotes dot. See, if we bind the variable with any, na, it won't auto suggest like what are the properties we have. But if you do the same thing with proper your class and interface, it will suggest. Wait, why it's not suggesting? Yeah. Let's add it everywhere. Then I will change the field name. Then age, it will go over here. Then identity card, like what type of card you are providing. Then card number, whatever the card you have provided, you need to provide the card number of that and the contact number also. Correct. Now on click of add, we are going to create a function. So click add member round bracket. Let's create this function. Now, so we just need to create the object, whatever we are going to pass. So let's copy this whole object for now, and I will be pasting it over here, which will be our booking obj colon any like this. Now here you just need to make this as empty array. Okay. Now this is the object which we are going to send on click of book now. So we have a book now button also over here. Let's okay. Before that, now so on click of add, what we are going to do, this object, the member object we are going to push to this object in this property. Okay. So this dot booking object dot event booking members dot unshipped we will use, or let's use push only. It's and what we need to push the members object, whatever the form data we get, this dot member. So once we keep on adding the member, it is going to be added to this object to this property. So we can use this to show that also in the T body. So at the rate for object, sorry, booking object dot event booking member. This is an array where we are going to have the data. And inside that we will have the TR like this. And here we just need to display the information using interpolation item dot. Let me just copy paste. Here we have to show the name, whatever the data we are adding, age, identity card, card number, and the contact number. Let's just save and check if it is working. So on click of add, let's add some dummy data, identity card, mobile number on click of add. So now you can see it is getting added. But here will be a problem. If I changing again now, so you can see it is reflecting over here also. It is overriding the data because it will hold a link between the object and the array. So we need to break it. So to break it, you just need to convert it to string. New obj is equal to JSON dot stringify, and what you will pass this dot member directly. Instead of directly pushing the object, you are converting it to string. Again, you will convert it to the object by JSON dot parse method. So you are detaching that object with the array. So otherwise, whenever you reflect, whenever you do change to the object, it will reflect in the array also. So to avoid that, we are just doing this. And this object, newly created object, you will pass to push. Let's just save and let's check it one more time. On click of add. So now see if I'm changing, nothing is happening. Okay. Now on click of book, now we just need to call our API. So let's create the API call function first. That will be in the service. So that will be post API. So let's copy this. Book API URL will be, what is the URL? Book event. And the object. Now on click of book now button, we need to call our API call function. So let's create on booking. Now we just need to prepare the proper object and everything. Now, so over here you can see these are the object we need to send. Booking ID is the primary key, you will send it 0. User ID you have to send logged in user ID. So how do we get the logged in user ID? By checking the local storage, because once we log in, we are storing the data into the local storage. So let's just read that over here, or we have already done that over here. So let's just copy. Let's use the constructor. I think we don't have the constructor over here. No, we have it. So let's just copy this line of code. In the constructor, we will put it. And user object also we will need. So let's add the user object. Let's add the import. So you can see this is just I have copy pasted from the app component. So we have read the local storage data, converted to again user object, and we are storing it over here. Then event ID already we have it. Oh, event ID we didn't store. So let's store it also, because we are going to need the event ID. Or we can assign it over here, booking object. So result.id, the parameter event ID. So this dot booking object. Sorry, booking object dot what we need, event ID. So event ID is nothing but what we have in the parameter. So that is result.id. So see, event ID we have got, then user ID. So over here, this dot user booking object dot user ID capital is equal to this dot user object dot user ID, whatever the logged in user ID. So see, like this we will get it. So user ID is in the booking object, we have got the user ID, event ID also we have got, then number of tickets. So number of tickets, we will get it in this function. So this dot booking object dot number of members, number of tickets is nothing but what number of members we have added is equal to, in here only, this dot booking dot event member, because in this array we are adding the number of member. So this dot booking object dot this dot length. We just need to get the length of it. How many records are we have added? Then we need to make the API call. So this dot event service dot book. What we need to pass? The booking object. So this object we will pass it over here. Then we need to subscribe from bracket result colon API response. I think it start with API response arrow function. And here we can just add an if and else check, just like we have done it over here. Let's copy. Let's paste it over here. Booking success message. We will close the model popup function over here. Let's just add a debugger over here also, and over wherever we are assigning the data. Over here also we have it, and over here also. Let's save and check it now. So let's first log in, because we are not logged in. So first we need to log in. The details I will be using this. So we have to log in with contact number, and the password will be 2233. Login success. So we are logged in. Now, if I click on book now, first we need to reload. Sorry. So you can see currently we are in the constructor. Now in the constructor, you can see we are trying to read the data from the local storage. We have got the data in user ID. We have got, oh, it's in small case. We won't get it otherwise. Undefined because it is in small case. Let's just change it instead of assigning it over here. Let's make it any. Make sure when you are doing like this, instead of providing it with the user interface, just make it any, because from while creating interface, we have done that with the capital case, but it should be with the small case. So let's just do it again. So now here you can see in booking object, we have got the user. Why it is, oh, again here we have forgot user ID will be there. Let's save again. So now in booking object, we have got the user ID, that is logged in user ID. Then in subscribe. So now result 528, whatever the event ID we have. Event ID also we have got. So in the booking ID, you can see we have got the event ID and the user ID. Now we just need to add the member. Now on click of book, now we will be adding just the member. Let's say Ram 23, select identity proof as Aadhaar card 111122 something. Validation I didn't add it. Now on click of add, Ram is added. Then add Sham 32, PAN card, something, mobile number, add. Now on click of add book ticket, we will call our function, right? So let's click on book now. So now here you can see this function is there. Now in booking object, we already have the event ID, user ID is your number of tickets is nothing but you are going to get the array length. So this, so see, booking ID is primary key, that is 0. In event booking number, we already have the data. Event ID is there, number of tickets is also there, and user ID is also there, who is booking the ticket. Let's continue. Now in result, we have got it true. Right? So once it is true, means we have booking is successfully created. So now our logged in user ID is 590. Where it is. Now we need to check like if booking is already done or not. So let's check get bookings by customer ID. And for this API, we need to pass the booking user ID 590. So you can see we have created two number of tickets too, like this. Booking number is auto generated. So now this is the simple get API call. We can show this into our my booking page. In this page, we have to show it. Okay, we didn't add the navigation. Let's just quickly add it. So booking is done. Now we just need to show the bookings done by us. It means we just need to add a router link where we are going to navigate on the my booking. So over here, we are going to navigate. Router link is not added, I think. So let's just add a router link also. Let's just save and check if it is redirecting. Yeah, so you can see this component is getting open. Now, in this component, we have to show the data we get by this API. So let's create the service call function. In event service, this is a get API. So let's get this copy, paste it over here. This will be my function name. And this is the method name we are going to have. Now, instead of 590, it will be whatever the ID we get. And this ID, we have to pass it over here, dollar, curly bracket, and the ID. So our dynamic ID will be there. Now, we just need to call this function into our my booking component. So to display the booking, we will simply get the row column structure, and in the table, we will show it. Table, body, head, PR, PD, serial number. Let me just quickly copy paste. What things we are getting? Event name, then start date. Whatever things we need to show, that we can show it. Booking number we can show, just like a ticket number. Number of tickets we can show. Now, on the page load, we need to call the API. So, comma, on init, we need to implement on init, ng on init. We need to create the instance of our service. So, event service is equal to inject event service. Then here we need to call the function get bookings, and we are going to get the bookings by logged in ID, by user ID. Now we need to read the logged in data also, right? So that we have already done it over here. So let's just copy that code. Like this. And once we read the data, then we will call this function. So, and if it is not null, then only we will call. So that only if we get the data, then only we will be calling the user object. And over here, this dot event service dot get booking by customer, and we need to pass the ID. So this dot user object dot user ID. Make sure U is small, because while storing the data into local storage, we are storing it with the small case. That's how we are getting from the API. res colon any API response. Now, whatever the data we will get, that we will store it into an array. So booking list colon any square bracket empty. Let's store it. So this dot booking list is equal to res dot data. And this only array we need to show it in the HTML. At the rate for loop. Let's copy this. Let's paste it over here. Instead of this static thing, we just need to display whatever the data we are getting. Item dot. Okay, first is the serial number. So index we will be using it over here with +1. Then item dot event name. Let me just copy number of tickets, booking number, start date. Let's add a pipe. To use the pipe also, again, we need to add the imports. So date pipe with format dd -mmm -yy. Let's just save and check if we are able to see the bookings. Let's add the table class. Let's save. So currently we just had one booking, so that is visible. Let's try to do one more booking. Let's try to book this. So here only I'm adding one member. So on click of book now, booking is done. Now if I go to my booking, you can see I have two tickets. One for the first show, first event with two tickets, and for second we have got only one ticket. Correct? So this is how we have completed our booking from landing page where we have shown all the booking. On click of book, we are landing to the particular event page with the dynamic ID. Then on click of book, now we are booking the ticket and that ticket is getting booked and we can see that ticket in the my booking component. Now this is the website part. Same like that, we can have an admin part also where event organizer can log in and he can create the event and he can see all the bookings received for that particular event. That will be part in the admin part. I will try to create one more video where I will be covering that. Okay. So that's it with this video. Thank you all. If you are new, please do like and subscribe.